Okay. Hey, Rashar. Thanks for inviting me to answer this question that you asked in your video that I've attached this to. It's a pretty good question, but the fundamental question being, how do you interact with someone who is crippled up? Oh my God. He said cripple. Yeah. You used all the right used all the right politically correct terms, physically challenged and all of that. Cripple is not an offensive term. The American Heritage Stedman's Medical Dictionary defines it as one that is partially disabled or unable to use a limb or limbs. So, no, it's not an offensive term. It's an accurate description of my situation. Okay? I am a cripple. All right. There's a fundamental flaw to your entire question. And that is the assumption that cripples are somehow different from other people. And we're not. As Wheels pointed out, he talked about himself specifically. I'm gonna talk about cripples in general. There's nice ones and there's mean ones. There's good ones and there's bad ones. They're just like any other group. There's ones that will, come over to your house and be perfectly polite and everything. There's other ones that will see a dollar laying on the table and they'll steal it. Just like any other group in America, just like any other segment of society. We're no different, okay? I was just like you. I was able-bodied and healthy and whole and all of that 1 second, and bingo. Then I wasn't. Then my body was broken. So what changed? Did I stop being the same person? No. As a matter of fact, I got stronger because of it. So, we're not as sensitive as a lot of people think. We aren't these little fragile eggs that, if you say the wrong thing, we're going to crack and leak all over the place. So, don't sweat that, You're going to get some people who are going to be all upset and offended at something you say. If you never want to offend or hurt anybody, what you need to do is join a monastery and take a vow of silence and lock yourself away for the rest of your life. It's not your job to run around not hurting people's feelings or making people feel better. And if you do it by pretending something, that's deception. And it only gets worse with time if you deceive someone. You have to either continue deceiving them or stop deceiving them, in which case the truth comes out and things are worse than when they started. So don't pretend. I use the girl with spaghetti as a perfect example. Okay? Let's say this girl drops spaghetti on her shirt and you don't say anything. You pretend you don't notice. And it's hanging off her chest and it's flopping around like one of those little nipple doily things that strippers wear, whatever they're called. Well, she doesn't notice. If you wait to say something, she doesn't notice, she doesn't notice, she doesn't notice. You finished dinner. Are you going to let her walk out with that hanging on her shirt? Because that spaghetti stain is going to draw everybody's eyes on that pretty white shirt. Pow! Right to that little piece of spaghetti that is now flopping around, Probably not. You seem like a nice guy. But now you got a problem. Because she's done with the spaghetti a while back. She's finished her dessert. Now, what do you say? Meanwhile, she's been sitting there the whole time, and other people may have noticed this. Okay? If you don't say anything then, she walks out of the restaurant, and everybody's eyeballs that hits her are drawn right to that red spot on her white shirt, and they see it. Plus, the spaghetti stain is set that much harder. So, you haven't done her any favors by not saying anything. In fact, she'll probably appreciate you saying something right away so that she's not embarrassed. And if she's easily embarrassed, she may be mildly embarrassed that she's made this little error, but who hasn't dropped food on themselves, you know? So it's not some big deal. And if she is embarrassed, it'll be mild embarrassment. It'll be only with you, and she'll get over it. Same thing with anybody else. If you're curious about something, ask. If you know something, say something. If you don't understand it, the only way you're going to find out about it is to ask about it and learn about it. So, you talked about bravery. Well, Goth Reaper, yeah. Was she courageous when she came on the first time? No. Was she courageous when she came on the second time, after she got that first account closed when she lost her temper? Yeah, because she came back knowing the kind of attacks she was going to be subjected to. That takes courage. Me? No. No more courage than you've got in making your videos. Or anybody else. It's not brave. It's just having fun, you know. So that was what I talked about in my first video about not wanting false admiration, because that's false admiration. It's not justified. So it takes me no more courage to make videos than it does you. I know I'm crippled up. I'm used to it. I'm not physically challenged. I'm used to it. It's not a challenge. It's not something I have a choice in. If I had a choice, I wouldn't be crippled up. So everybody's got problems. You deal with the problems you got the best way you know how. You know, my problems happen to be a little more visible than yours. That's all. So, let's see. I'm looking at my notes is why I'm looking down here, because you raised a lot of issues, and I'm trying to keep this at 10 minutes or maybe a little bit over, but not too long. So, the right way to interact. Well, how do you interact with anybody else? Look back to the definition of cripple. Okay? Are you uncomfortable on somebody with a cast on their arm or leg because they've been in a skiing accident? I would guess the answer is no. The question you got to ask yourself now is why not? Because they're a cripple. The difference is they're a temporary cripple, whereas some of us are permanent cripples. So, if you can make that jump over that little hurdle between the difference between temporary and permanent, you've got it licked. You know. Folks that are crippled up are a lot stronger than people assume. Like I say, you're not going to break us by curiosity. It's one of the things I love about little kids is a little kid will walk right up to me and say, "What's wrong with your legs?" You know, and there's nothing wrong with my legs. You know, it's my spinal cord. And I'll explain it to them in terms they can understand. Or they'll see me have a spasm. And, you know, my leg jumps out and starts bouncing around. And they'll say, why is your leg doing that? You know, why are you doing that? And it's like, well, okay, and I'll explain it. Again, in terms they can understand, because, you know, a real small kid isn't going to understand all the big words that get involved. So, it's, if there's no malicious intent, there's not very many people are going to take offense at honest questions. And if there is malicious intent, well, you're just a bastard, okay? And I don't pay much attention to the opinions of bastards. If the person that you're asking without malicious intent gets all offended, that's not your problem. That's their problem, okay? You're trying to learn something about that individual, and well, they get offended. That's not your problem. This is going to go over because one of the things you brought up that's really good is body language. All right. Yeah, that's one thing that a lot of people that are crippled up have problems with, is body language. But it's not as different as you think. Look around for the next couple of days, just as you go through your normal routine and interact with people. Make a conscious effort to observe their body language, and you'll see that it's different with every single individual. It's vastly different among different social groups. Okay? Crap, hang on. Okay. It's vastly different. I had a thing come up on my computer. It's vastly different with different social groups, okay? You look at cowboys, for example, in the rodeo crowd. Look at their body language versus, for example, the hip-hop crowd and their body language. Totally different. Okay? You learn to read each person's body language as an individual. Same thing with somebody who's crippled up. It takes a little longer because you got to learn an entirely new set of cues and learn to discard things that don't mean anything, like spasms and such, and learn to pay attention to what does mean something. Or in an extreme case, for example, Christopher Reeves before he died, where there is no body language at all because he can't move below the neck, you got to learn to read the facial expression and tone of voice and things like that to get the clues that are non-verbal, that aren't words for the communication, you know. So, you know, everybody's unique. So it just takes a little longer with someone who is crippled up to learn their body language. But as I say, take the next couple of days and consciously observe different people's body language, and you'll be amazed at how different it is. You just don't notice it because you're used to it. So, that's it. I'll go ahead and stop this here so it doesn't go on too long. If you have any questions that I haven't answered, feel free to ask. You're not going to hurt my feelings. You're not going to break me. You know. It's the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to learn more. You know, and that's a good thing. So, as I say in that one video, curiosity is a good thing. I haven't gotten to that yet because I've gotten with these other things, but I'm learning that YouTube is like a spider web. I started out in the center and I had a direction to go, and then I've gotten, you know, just going off in all different directions all over the place. So again, thank you for that video. That's good. It opens up a good conversation. And I'm sorry about taking so long to get back to it, but like you'll know, if you see my other videos, I've got involved with some other things that I felt were a little bit more important. But here we are. We got it done. And so yeah, if anybody's got questions, feel free to ask, preferably with a video response. That way it doesn't get lost as much in the flood of messages, you know. And myself or Wheels or Goth Reaper can answer their question, you know. Whether you make it to one of us or a general question, you know, just a question in general. So it's we're just like Wheels said, we're just like you, you know. We're in good ways and in bad ways. You know, you're literally one car accident from being in the same position I'm in. You know. So what would change in that before and after the accident moment about you? Nothing. Except that you are in a new situation that you have to deal with. You have a new problem that you have to deal with that you don't have now. You've got your problems now that you deal with. We all do. So that's all. So if you can make that jump from temporary cripple to permanent cripple, you've got it licked. Okay? You're making the effort. So that's all you need to do. Just make that little jump. All right. So I will holler at y'all later. This went longer than I wanted to, but hey, it's a big question, but a very good one. Okay. So adios and hasta luego, and I will holler at y'all later. And Bashar, thank you again for this. This is good. Take it light, everybody.